Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone, and Yahweh Bahashem, Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash, Brakatham, to the 144,000 servants, as well as the remaining elect of Israel. You see what the heading says? This is a news report from CBS News. Now it says in Revelation 11 verse 14, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. The third woe that the Apostle John saw in his vision is speaking about World War III. Okay, which World War III is going to be a war like never before. It's going to be a battle, as it's written when you go to Isaiah 9 verse 5. It's going to be a battle / war fought with burning and fuel of fire. And the burning and fuel of fire is going to come by way of these nuclear weapons, the ICBMs, that are going to shake this earth, as it's written in Isaiah 24, to and fro, which right now, all the nations around the world, all the various different countries that possess nuclear weapons are preparing for that war, okay? As it's written, you've also got Joel chapter 3, verse 9 to verse 10. That also goes into the nations preparing for World War III, okay? Because that's the time that we're living in, if you're measuring the time, as you should be, pursuant to 2nd Ezra's chapter 9, verse 1. You've also got Ecclesiastes chapter 3, from verse 1 to verse 8. Okay, so we're not living in a time of mirth. We're living in a time of disaster, woe, mourning, death, and destruction. Okay, and what's going to happen is that America is going to be the main target during the height of World War III, and it's going to result in the complete annihilation of this place that you know as America, which is known in the Bible as Mystery Babylon the Great. And what's going to happen is that 2/3 of you Israelites, which are you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, pursuant to Zechariah 13 and verse 8, those of you that don't want to return back to this truth, those of you that don't want to return back to worshiping our Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Shai, those of you that go ahead and take that chip, the mark of the beast, pursuant to Revelation 13 and 16, are going to be destroyed in this nuclear destruction. So anyway, here's the report.
Burns in for Major Garrett tonight. Welcome to the Takeout. Nuclear weapons testing. It's a phrase that hasn't been said. Nuclear weapons testing. It's a phrase that hasn't been said by a superpower in over 30 years, and one that harkens back to the Cold War era. President Trump made his startling announcement in a Truth Social post just before his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, saying, because of other countries' testing programs, I have instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Now, China has not tested a nuclear weapon since 1996, but it has expanded its arsenal in recent years. Russia hasn't carried out a test since 1990, but President Vladimir Putin said his country tested a nuclear drone and recently tested a nuclear-powered cruise missile. The last time the U.S. conducted a nuclear test, 1992, in an underground bunker in Nevada, codenamed Divider. President George H.W. Bush later imposed a moratorium after the fall of the Soviet Union. President Trump spoke about this on Air Force One after his meeting with Xi.
They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago. But with others doing testing, I think it's appropriate that we do also.
Now, right now, there are more questions than answers, as you can imagine. What does nuclear weapons testing actually mean? What other countries are doing it, and when will they happen? Well, lucky for us, we have senior national security correspondent Charlie Daggett to answer all of these questions for us. Charlie, good to see you. Okay, we'll take it piece by piece. When the president says they're going to do this on an equal basis, What does that mean?
So experts that we've been speaking to today say it's ambiguous. It might be intentionally ambiguous. Okay, so if we look at equal basis, is the president referring to detonating nuclear weapons, exploding nuclear weapons like we did back in 1992 and other superpowers have done? Or is he talking about the delivery platforms, right? The missiles that deliver these weapons on board submarines, the B-2, the B-52 bombers, obviously the intercontinental ballistic missiles in the United States and Europe. Those are tested all the time. So if he's talking about it being, if we're going to take it per word, what he's saying on an equal basis, that would suggest the same kind of testing that President Putin was talking about a nuclear-powered and nuclear-capable weapon, but not actually detonating the weapons.
Okay. I mean, that's obviously an important distinction there,
Clearly.
right? So we mentioned that George H.W. Bush called for this moratorium. What were the events kind of leading up to that call? I mean, it's pretty amazing that we haven't talked about nuclear testing for more than 3 decades.
Honestly, I can't even remember that far back. But there was an arms race, and it was pretty competitive between Russia and the United States. Primarily, China was there, kind of in the background. And during the early 90s, you mentioned 1992 was the last time the United States detonated a weapon. It was an underground weapon. Even before that, the Russians stopped doing it. And then they introduced what's called the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The United States has signed up to it, but not ratified. So it's sort of like this agreement that's gone on, because it's not just about the United States now. North Korea is the only country that has tested a weapon in this century. So it's this agreement between the superpowers in order to keep non-proliferation among the other nuclear armed states or ambitious nuclear armed states.
So what do those superpowers say or think? What have they been saying in response to hearing the president?
Yes, well, this is really important because this Trump administration is all about messaging, right?
Yeah.
And this is a message to the Chinese government and also to the Russian government. And the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, came out and said, well, wait a minute, we're already holding our own on a moratorium. The weapons that we've tested, he made clear, we did not detonate those weapons. But if the United States resumes exploding weapons, detonating weapons, and carrying on these kind of tests, that Russia might just follow suit.
I mean, that is provocative, and to say the word. Now, I know there's a lot of ambiguity, but you helped clear a lot of things for us. So thank you very much, Charlie, and we will obviously stay tuned for that.